Halloween, everybody, and welcome to the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jortson.
I'm Nick Kinsel.
And I'm the Intimidator.
That's right. Well, yeah, we got the Ghost Trevor Baines career. We got Dale Earnhardt over here, and I'm a Cheeto bag. So, guys, happy Halloween. All right, guys. Well, fantastic weekend from Martinsville to cap off the round of 8. We chose some champions, but before we dig into all of that, let's start off with our diecast of the week. Nick, what you got for us, man?
All right, well, it's Phoenix time. It's championship time, baby. And 2 years ago at Phoenix, my guy, Mr. Daniel Hemrick, he won his first ever race and first ever NASCAR Xfinity Series championship. So I had to bust this one out. This is the race win version of from Phoenix back in 2021. I love the detail on it. You can see you can see the little donuts on it because him and Austin Hill, him and Austin Cindric, they got into it. He pushed him up the track a little bit. I saw no harm, no foul in that. It's racing for a championship. But yeah, that's crazy. First win in NASCAR also means first championship in NASCAR. And yeah, that was a pretty damn good night for me. I'm sure Ian remembers that all too well. But yeah, this is a beautiful race car. And I love the detail on it. And yeah, we were champs that night.
Yeah, man, that was insane racing from Daniel Hemrick. Good for him. He's just Mr. Consistency that season.
Let's remember the weekend too, how it started off for Daniel Hemrick. He didn't even have his hauler. He got his car 20 minutes before practice. Like the hauler broke down.
Yeah.
They had
a pickup truck haul it over there.
They had a pickup truck haul his car in, and it got to the track maybe 40 minutes before practice started, and I was just like, oh, here we go again. Like this is just typical This is typical Daniel Hemrick right here. This only happens to him. But no, it worked out in our favor. Car was fast all night, and then he gave Austin Cindric a run for his money, and he got himself a win, got himself a championship. That's a pretty good night right there. We got to see a backflip too.
Yeah,
hey, I like that night because it was a Joe Gibbs car beating a Penske car. It was like, I don't care how you do it. Don't let Penske win another championship.
Love it. Yep, Nick, I remember all the FaceTimes I got till about 3 o'clock in the morning. You're just screaming in my ear. I'm like, all right, buddy.
Well, remember when Dale Earnhardt Jr. won at Martinsville in 2014? What did he say after winning that race? We are going to drink a lot of beer tonight. That is what's going to happen, and that is what happened for me. That was a night I will never forget.
Yep. All right, Tom, what you got for your diecast of the week?
I brought the People's Champion. This is a race win, Jimmy Johnson. I don't think it's a Homestead win. I found it at a thrift store for I think I got this and the Jeff Gordon one I showed months ago for both of them for $20. It was really cool. But again, the detail on these race wins are extra. It's got like spatters of rubber on the front along with the confetti and whatnot. The hood, the roof flaps open up. Like, it's nice. Probably the nicest diecast I own.
Yeah, that's pretty
for
slick.
All things considered, and I got it pretty cheap. But yeah, you think we're going to the championship weekend, we're going to crown a champion. You got to pay homage to 7-time and 7-time.
There you go, man.
There you go.
I like it. Yeah, dude, like thrift shops or like antique stores, those are the best places to find diecast. Like, I was just up in Galena with Abby's family this past weekend, and we went to this one antique shop, and I saw they had this whole section just filled with NASCAR stuff, and they had like Jimmy Johnson's championship diecast from 2016, not the race version, just the one where it says champion on there. They had that for $18. They had Truex's the same championship diecast, $18, and they had like an Elliott one, they were $18, and dude, it's so cheap, and you find those online, they're like $100 or something. It's ridiculous.
Flip those around or keep them as mementos.
I'm not even like a big fan of those drivers, and I just grabbed them just because, like, why not? They're cheap as hell. All right, so for my diecast of the week, Kevin Harvick's final race. We're coming up to been a hell of a career, so I thought I'd break it down to my favorite paint scheme that Kevin Harvick has ever ran. The good wrench with the flames on there with the silver. Just an iconic paint scheme, my favorite of all time. So had to bust it out for Kevin's final time hitting the track at his most winningest track as well, the track where he just dominated over the years. So what a way to go out at that track.
I really thought you were going to bring out an Eric Almirola tribute paint diecast
Yeah.
here. He's retiring too.
Oh,
No, I get it. No,
yeah.
I understand. It's definitely an emotional week for all Kevin Harvick fans out there. I mean, I grew up watching this guy because my earliest memories were that 29 car right after Dale passed, and
Yeah.
it's really the end of a huge era. He's one of the last remaining Gen 4 drivers, and it's gonna be a tough one to see Kevin go, even coming from a Kyle Busch fan who we didn't like Kevin a lot of the time during those years. But yeah, it's definitely an emotional weekend for Kevin and his family and Rodney and all them fans out there.
Yeah, definitely going to be weird at the start of the Daytona 500 not seeing Kevin Harvick in that 4 car with Busch beer on the hood. It's going to be over on the 1 car now, so going to be
and you'll see him in the booth in a suit and tie.
Yeah. Well, I won't be watching TV for his first race. I'll be in the stands for that one. So
There you
a little
go.
little bittersweet going to that, but that's how it was for Dale Jr.'s first broadcast. I was there as well.
Hey,
So
yeah, I was gonna say you might get a banger of a race because I
yeah.
was at Dale Jr.'s first NBC broadcast instead of watching it on TV.
Yeah, so we might see. Well, we won't see a slide job at a super speedway, that's for sure. Something crazy's got to happen for that. But yeah, guys, let's talk top stories here. Just announced today that Star Wars is coming along with Columbia PFG, and they're going to be sponsoring Bubba Wallace's car. Mark Hamill was in the advertisement with him. Really cool looking paint scheme, awesome helmet as well. Just paying homage to Star Wars, man. It's fucking cool. It's huge nostalgia coming from that car.
He's even got the fire suit that looks like Luke Skywalker's flight suit. So like they went all out. Columbia went all out. Kind of weird for this championship weekend and whatnot, but kind of fun.
Yeah, right.
I like it. It's cool.
Yeah, that is badass. All right. And like you were saying, Eric Almirola is calling it quits in the Cup Series, or at least in the 10 car. He hasn't really said retirement. He just said that he's leaving the 10. Smithfield's leaving as well. So there's been hints that he's going to go part-time or full-time in the Xfinity Series next year, which I think would be a perfect fit for him. It seems like competition is a little bit over his head in the Cup Series. So who knows? Maybe he'll fit well down there, or maybe he just wants to get a couple more races in. Who knows?
Yeah, I think part time is going to be the route. I think the big thing around this, he just wanted to spend more time with his families. I mean, it's hard having a family and being a full time NASCAR driver in the Cup Series because you're away for so many weeks. We're talking like 38 weeks out of the year right there. So yeah, I don't blame him one bit. I think he said he was interested in like part-time truck, part-time Xfinity. He might even want to jump in a part-time Cup ride. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
He's 39 years old. He's still got it. Obviously, we saw him win at Sonoma. Again, it's a matter of funding, and he said it himself in a quote or a press conference, I believe, where he's like, none of these teams really want a part-time driver. They're all looking to fill rides for full time as long as you're bringing money and whatnot. So we'll see. I'm wondering if Smithfield will stick around with him when he does pull part-time rides, because that'll be enticing to smaller teams that want to get a one-off and want to get an experienced driver in the car. And again, in true NASCAR fashion, he left a cryptic Bible quote at the end of his announcement, basically saying like, God knows my plan for when I'll drive next. So that to me tells me he doesn't have anything concrete lined up.
Yeah.
But again, you want to wish him the best and whatnot. Obviously, he doesn't have I joked about it earlier. He doesn't have the impact in the history that Kevin Harvick does. But it's good to see a guy get to leave on his own terms, and pull a little bit of a Brett Favre move there too and retire twice.
Right. Hopefully it won't be like a Mark Martin where he retires like 5 times.
Yeah. Well, again, I want to see him race as long as he's happy to race, because again, the Sonoma win was no easy feat. He had to hold off Kyle Larson there at the end. And again, he's 39 years old. That's prime real estate for more racing. With other athletes, it's a little less. It's a little bit towards the end of the career, but he still probably has 10 years left in him if he wants to.
Yeah, who knows? All right, guys. Well, let's get into this exciting Martinsville weekend, and we kicked it off with the Xfinity Series. I'll say this again, man. This sucks that we did not have the Truck Series hit in Martinsville. It would have been so awesome to see those guys duke it out for a final for championship spot. But we had the Xfinity Series, and man, this one was a banger for sure. We had Sammy
Emphasis
Smith.
on bang.
Yeah, no kidding.
Bang.
18 of Sammy Smith won the pole, and we had a caution come out for the 29 of Kyle Sieg, had a flat and hit the wall, and cars came to slow down, and Sam Mayer slammed into the back end of Josh Bilicki's car, destroying it, but Sam Mayer didn't really care. He's in the final four already, so who cares?
No harm, no foul.
Yeah, but you don't want to destroy a race car anytime. Again, it's just like he'll do something like push hard at Miami and win that race and look really good, and then the next week he'll wreck his own car under caution early in the race. It's just like, where is his head at? That's my biggest concern for him going into the championship weekend. I feel like he's going to put too much pressure on himself, and it's going to be a bit overwhelmed because again, there's zero pressure on him, and he wrecks his race car when he definitely didn't need to.
Man, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Kyle Larson there for a second. They kind of sound like the same person now that I say it.
I'm not putting Sam Mayer into Kyle Larson territory just yet.
I will. But Justin Allgaier won stage 1. Great points for him. And then Cole Custer sent it hard into turn 1, spinning the 11 of Lane Riggs. Cole's just doing whatever he can to get that final championship spot. And then Sammy Smith wins stage 2, and we had great racing, insane racing on the restart. Everybody was going for it, duking it out, and we had a bunch of guys spinning with Connor Mozak, and then we had a roadblock with 7 cars involved, I believe. Absolutely insane. And of course, Brandon Jones was involved. I mean, we got to get a count. How many times has this guy been involved in a caution this year?
It's almost like when Natalie Decker drove full time in the 54 in the Truck Series. There's like the Natalie incident counter. That's what we need for Brandon Jones.
Yeah, right. All right, and then we had overtime. Creed versus Hill. Man, oh man, had 2 teammates that we already know don't really like each other. Going for it, both starting 1-2. I feel like all Austin Hill had to do was just race them clean, and they would have been fine. But Sheldon Creed was going for his first career Xfinity Series win and a Final Four spot. Gave his teammate the innocent bump and run. Everyone does it at Martinsville. And then Austin Hill had to do the biggest dick competition and take Sheldon Creed all the way down to the bottom of the track on the backstretch, which sent Creed into the turn, which made him go up the track. And then Austin Hill just slammed into the 2, which then he got spun by the 20. Stupid racing by Austin Hill. I feel like he's a lot smarter than this. And then everyone just bitches out Sheldon Creed. And I just feel bad for the guy. He was going for his first win, did nothing wrong. And his teammate and his owners are fucking him around like this. It's just not cool.
It's really tough for Sheldon Creed. He's out the door, probably not entirely by his own choice.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already facing that. And then you got Austin Hill, who, from what we understand, probably turned down a colleague cup ride to come back to the Xfinity Series because he likes RCR so much. So of course that Richard Childress, Andy Petrie are going to be on Austin Hill's side. And again, it's just the end of a Martinsville race that got blown way out of proportion. And I do agree. Sheldon Creed is getting the very, very short end of the stick here. And yeah, there's fault on both sides, but I don't think Sheldon Creed was doing anything egregious.
He didn't wreck him.
It's just, no, exactly.
He did not wreck him. So yeah,
And
for me, you want me to
no,
go? No, okay. That was weird. All right, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, for me, Sheldon, he didn't do anything wrong. Like he didn't wreck him. He raced him hard. Why wouldn't you race him hard? Sheldon Creed has been denied so many times in the Xfinity Series. He's oh so close each and every time, and he just keeps coming up short. But of course, he's going to go for a spot in the championship four. He's out the door. So yeah, I saw nothing wrong by him, but I just think the comments by Richard Childress were quite unprofessional. And then him getting chewed out by Andy Petrie. And then Sheldon Creed said something to Andy Petrie as he's walking away. He said, "Yeah, well, if it was a 21, you guys wouldn't do shit." So,
Very fucking true. They wouldn't have
so
said shit.
it's been that way all year. Austin Hill, he's like every it seems like every team has got their favorite, and Austin Hill is their favorite. Yeah, he goes out and he wins the races. But yeah, I don't get it. Sheldon Creed is leaving for a reason, and it's got to do something with his ownership. But nothing I think he did wrong there. That's just hard racing. And Austin Hill, he's pretty whiny. He's a little whiny baby.
Kind of turning
So
into
I'm
it, man.
kind of turning into it. So yeah, just that's Martinsville racing. That's why we watched. It was exciting. And then how about Justin Allgaier? He squeaked out
Yeah.
of nowhere. He's racing for a championship now because of that. So that's cool to see. Justin Allgaier from Illinois. So yeah, crazy race. I loved it. This is why this was a good short track race right here. This is perfect.
Yeah, man.
and
Absolutely.
it's one of those things where like it's not like Sheldon Creed wasn't in the top 8. Like he has a right to race for that spot. It's not it's not as bad as like again I'm bringing back to this race last year with Ty Gibbs and Brandon Jones, where Ty Gibbs is already safe. He doesn't need to push Brandon Jones out of the way to just win this race just because. This is completely different circumstances. They're both going hard for the win, and yeah, he's out the door. Yeah, he hasn't performed as expected, but he's been no slouch, that's for sure. He's not finishing. He's had a better season than Brandon Jones this year. Both new guys with new teams and new cars. So it's one of those things where it's just like there's a massive overreaction, and it caused a huge mess at the end of that race.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if he hooked him, if he flat out dumped him, sure. Then if I'm Andy Petrie and Richard Childress, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. But it was a racing deal. Like he didn't even do anything wrong. He bumped. It's Martinsville. The bump and run is Martinsville.
That's how
Doesn't
it
matter.
goes, man.
That's how it goes. So yeah, I don't get the comments at all. But I'm
Well,
sure Sheldon Creed is super happy to get out of there and drive a Gibbs Toyota next year.
they are saying they're trying to make the argument that like he's coming off of 4 and he taps the brakes. But if you go back and look at the video, he's pointed to the outside wall. He's got to slow down so he can make the corner. And I think it was Denny Hamlin. He said on Action Sentimental, he said that he's also trying to tap the brakes just so he can get a bump to get the car rotated back towards the start finish line, also get some momentum back. So yeah, it looks like he brake checks Austin Hill, which has got Richard Childress, Andy Petrie seeing red, but there's no way if he gasses it up, he's in the wall and causing a wreck in front of everybody. So it's a huge mess.
Yeah, no, he got sent into that turn from Austin Hill, driving him dirty like that. And just the thing with Richard Childress calling Sheldon Creed what he did was dumb and everything, dude.
For
You
the
want to talk
stupidest
a
driver.
dumb,
Yeah.
stupidest driver, dude? Take a look at your goddamn grandchildren, man. The one that drives the 3 car, man. He's up there for dunce of NASCAR. So I don't want to hear shit from Richard, man. I lost a lot of respect for Richard Childress and Andy Petrie from this weekend with how they treat their drivers. It's not
Kevin
cool.
Harvick also left RCR for a reason. There's like without
Yep.
Kyle Busch, Richard Childress Racing would still be the irrelevant poverty program that they once were before after Kevin left and before Kyle Busch got into their car.
Without Dale Earnhardt or Kevin Harvick, Richard Childress would be working at fucking McDonald's. So
and again, the biggest takeaway from all this is that could have had 2 in the championship 4.
Yep.
Could have not been that poverty program, and now they're going to be racing for 5th place in the championship standings. So it's just a disappointing night overall. Emotions are high,
Mm-hmm.
and again, we were saying this similar thing with the Nick Sanchez fight. Nick Sanchez, Matt Kraft. I wouldn't call it a fight. But after Talladega, the emotions are high after the race. So does Richard Childress and Andy Petrie, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. Do they regret those statements? Maybe. You hope they do. But from what it sounds like, it's a toxic situation over there if you're not first in line.
Right.
Yeah. Or unless you're Austin Dillon too. So
He's first in line.
Yeah, he's first in line for everything, man. He's even first in line for speed, and Kyle Busch is still outrunning him.
Not these past couple weeks, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We got outrun by the 3 car.
Yeah, it was a rough race for you guys.
We hardly got to the race portion of the checklist, so
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Just kind of lollygagging around the track. All right, guys. Well, our final 4 for the Xfinity Series Championship are Sam Mayer, Nemechek, Cole Custer, and Justin Allgaier. So, guys, it's going to be a great race for Phoenix. Now let's talk the Cup Series race from Martinsville. We had Martin Truex on the pole, and we had a lot of door bumping runs, just a lot of banging around this track. Kind of felt like the old days at Martinsville. Guys were actually, it looked like they were able to pass a little bit too. So it felt like an improvement for the short track racing so far.
Yeah, I think again, it's the stakes of the race more than anything, because Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck on their podcast were saying if this is a spring race, nothing happened. Like, your favorites are running, like, again, the whole point of the race, the whole idea of this race was like William Byron was running in the back and he didn't have speed because he couldn't pass anybody, and Denny Hamlin was running up front, but he couldn't gain any points. So it's like, how far back does William Byron fall? It's like, if this is the race in the spring, it's a snoozer, you're turning it off. I think it also just comes down to presentation. I think NBC elevates the race with their storytelling, when Fox in the spring had probably a very similar race, and it was just awful because they don't know how to present a race anymore.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty decent. I think it was more intense of a race because of everything that was on the line, and everybody was a little bit more desperate with their moves. I mean, we saw Ryan Blaney use his bumper a lot, Denny Hamlin. So, I mean, a lot of guys were just getting really aggressive, and I guess that's what was making this race interesting and exciting. So, yeah, if this was a spring race, we would have just seen a choo-choo train going around.
And I was sitting there as the laps were counting down in that final stage, and I was thinking, again, William Byron's back there, so he has a lot of spots to gain, and there's a bunch of guys in the front that have to pit. And Denny Hamlin at one point was like 3 points out running in third, so he had to go up and take the lead anyway. And then all those people pit, and then suddenly he's 7-8 points ahead, and Denny Hamlin's not going to gain 8 points. He was 6 seconds behind. So it's like, it was intriguing, but at the same, it's like you stopped and thought about it for a second, and it was just like, oh no, they're just going to run where they run. And yeah, so I still think that it needs work, and I think NASCAR needs to stop looking at aero to solve their issues, because they're scheduling more aero tests. They're like, an aero test is going to fix this, an aero test is going to fix this. It's like, no, you need more power, you need less tire, and it's kind of frustrating to watch and whatnot. But again, it's the mechanical failure at Homestead that killed Denny.
Yep.
Because he ran a perfect race. He ran the perfect race.
Yep, that's for sure. And great racing with Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin. They were just going at it lap by lap throughout the entire race. We had Blaney door slamming the 45 after going into the turn too hot, and then they were both angry at each other. So I love Martinsville. Tempers are flaring here. There's no room for anyone. Yeah, Reddick, I think he was going a lap down at that point. He was trying to stay on the lead lap, and
yeah,
man, I love it.
I think the heat helped the race, though. Again, we're talking, you want I think we said a couple weeks ago, like, man, we hope Martinsville is going to be hot, but it's not, and I guess it was. So that helped a lot. It was a physical battle for everybody. And again, the stakes are just higher than they are in the spring. You want to ride around. You don't want to piss people off in the spring, but here, one race to go, no holds barred. You gotta batten down the hatches and keep running with it.
Through that, and then Martin Truex Jr. caught speeding on pit
Ugh.
road, which screwed him,
Story.
brought him to the back. Man, that is a killer right there for your
Well, it's just
championship hopes.
it's the story of the playoffs. Martin Truex Jr. He was terrible the entire playoff. I think he averaged like a 22nd place finish, and it's just these self-inflicted wounds, slow pit stops, speeding on pit road. These races, they were the regular season champs, but come playoff time, they just fell apart and they just couldn't put a complete race together. And I'm amazed that he was able to make it as far as he did with how poor that they were running.
Yeah.
But you can't do that here in the round of 8. And the 19 team, they just did not show up this entire playoff.
Yeah, absolutely terrible playoff run for the regular season champion. I did not think any of that would have came out of that 19 team at the start of Darlington. So
no, and we were always saying it's like, well, it's Martin Truex, he's the regular season champion. The other shoes got to drop, and then the next week we come by, it's like, oh, okay, it wasn't this week, but it's next week, and oh, okay, and now you're like, what the hell happened for them to just fall off the cliff like that? It's really kind of something to be studied. It's insane. And again, maybe he was a little bit premature when saying he's coming back because he's having fun, because these 9 weeks have not
yeah, this Sunday might be his retirement tour as well.
That'd be sad, to be quite honest. It would be. I think with the contract, I think we're good. I think we're going to see one more year of Martin, but they got to do something or he's going to quit halfway through next year.
Right. And then John Hunter Nemechek would be very, very pissed off because now he's in the 42 and another Joe Gibbs ride might be opening. So.
Yeah, you wonder if, again, it's all speculation, but you wonder what the heck happens with the Toyota camp if Martin decides to hang it up after Phoenix. You'd got to think that they'd move John Hunter into the 19.
Yeah,
you'd got to think that, and then let Legacy fill that ride again with whoever.
I think Toyota's paying him a little bit more than Legacy would be, so yeah, he'll move over. All right, Ryan Blaney wins stage 2, and then Joey Logano dumps the 54 of Ty Gibbs, almost hits Denny Hamlin. Brad Keselowski slams into Ty Gibbs. Suarez wrecks. He's done for the day. So a big mess, all caused from Joey Logano. No surprise there. That's just how he races. Just, I don't know what the hell he was doing there, man. He was going hot into that turn right on Ty Gibbs' ass.
Well, that's the other thing that Denny was talking about on his podcast. The other big thing that stood out to me, he said that Ty had come to him a couple of weeks ago and saying like, hey, I've been having beef with Joey all year. It's just like we've been in each other's way. We've been upset with each other. What can I do? And he's like, you got to extend Denny told Ty to extend the olive branch. If you see him coming, let him go and whatnot. So there's history here, I guess, between these two. And it may be a welcome to the Cup Series moment sort of deal. Ty's been getting better. But again, what's the point of dumping this guy? What's the point of roughing him up? Stakes are too high. You're not in the chase. Neither of you are in the chase, and you're getting away. You risk ruining Denny's race before we could really see what happened. So yeah, but that's weird. Again, you never saw the beef between those two, but I guess it was on the track. They're always getting a little close together, pissing each other off, and it finally boiled over here.
Yeah, well, the 18 is the 54 now, so it kind of makes sense. Alrighty, so after that, we had Ryan Blaney taking the lead from Almirola and Chase Elliott, who were in front from strategy. It seemed to be how it was going throughout this one. It was just all strategy. There was
track position, baby.
Oh yeah, and there was a lot of talk that there was a few guys that were going to run out of gas towards the end of it. They thought Ryan Blaney was about half a lap short, but he made it work out. He won a race and he got himself into the championship for the first time in his NASCAR Cup Series career. Absolutely incredible for Ryan Blaney. I did not see this coming out of him from the start of the season. He just did not look good, but that Coke 600 winning at Talladega really propelled him and gave him a lot of momentum to power through that round of 8 and go to the championship 4. So good for him. And then we got our final 4 with Blaney, Larson, Byron, and Bell. Young lineup for this championship 4, guys.
Yeah, I think this is it. The story of Ryan Blaney's career has kind of been he's a consistent driver and he's going to go get you 1 to 2 wins. But we were always, I think everybody was just waiting to see when is Ryan Blaney going to elevate this to the next level. And this 2023 season was just that, going out winning that Coke 600. Then he goes out, wins Talladega, and you're right, Ian, that probably does give him momentum. And Ryan Blaney, he's been very good at this racetrack in the past, this track in Bristol, but something just always seems to go wrong for the 12 car, but it did not today. And this is a deserving championship 4 berth here. He went out and he had the best car all day. And yeah, I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see what momentum this gives him, not just for this championship race, but going forward, because I finally think we're starting to see him elevate into that next level. So very happy that YRB is going to be racing for a chip on Sunday.
Ryan Blaney has had, I guess, was the best average finish at Martinsville. So yeah, he hadn't seen the results, but he's run well. And again, he finished second at Phoenix last fall, and I believe he was second or third there
in the spring. Yeah,
yep, runner up in the last 2.
Scary. He's got the notes on this track. Yeah, he didn't have 2 weeks or 3 weeks to prepare like these other guys, like Larson and Christopher Bell did. And again, William Byron won. He won the spring race, right?
Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah. So again, with Larson having 2 weeks to prepare, or 2 extra weeks, Christopher Bell having 1 extra week to prepare, Ryan Blaney, who's finished second there twice in a row, and then William Byron, who has a win here this season already. This is going to be a very compelling championship. At least we can hope. And again, you hope that this car shows up. And it's going to be very interesting to watch play out. They all have strengths in different places.
Yep. Very excited for the championship weekend coming up. But guys, that will about wrap it up. Make sure to tune in to our preview show that we're going to have out here in a few days. But before we wrap it all up, you boys got anything else to add?
You said that at the beginning of the episode that you think you wanted trucks at this Martinsville weekend. And with the way that the Xfinity race ended, I don't know if having trucks there is a good idea. You could have more wrecked cars than a Daytona track. Daytona race. Like it just the Xfinity race kind of left a sour taste in my mouth just because it was like devolved into madness at the end. And yeah, it's fun to watch at the moment. You're like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? So I don't know if adding trucks to the mix would make it any more fun or just stress me out too much.
Yeah, I don't know. I think put them on a short track, final race before you decide who's going to be your championship for, man. That gets my blood pumping, man.
That's what's going on next year. They're bringing that back next year because when we went in 2021, we got to see all 3 series running. That was great.
Oh, dude, that truck race ended. Everybody was wrecking there, man.
And then the other note I just want to make, I think the Xfinity car in the Xfinity series that we run has to put the best overall product throughout the year. It's excellent on road courses.
Oh yeah.
It still races well in the short tracks. It still does the drafting well. It's just and the 1.5 mile program is fantastic. It's the best product, and you kind of hate to see that.
It's like sad because
it's the lower tier series and it's
putting on the better races.
Yeah.
And again, the Cup Series car is so good at these intermediate tracks, but it's lacking in so many other places. And yeah, it's new. They got to figure it out. And again, it's just more the consistency thing. This Xfinity car has been with us now for like 10, 12 years. And I think it's just getting good. So I hope they don't change it up anytime soon because it's really good racing wherever they go.
Yeah, I've been saying for probably the past like 4 or 5 years or so, Xfinity Series racing has just been blowing the Cup Series out of the water.
And I think you have that aspect of it's younger, inexperienced guys looking for more. So they're out there learning in real time versus you have the Cup Series in these very optimized race cars. And those guys already don't make a lot of mistakes, but then those mistakes can't be maximized because the car doesn't allow mistakes to hurt you that much. So you got these guys that can make mistakes and they're young and they're learning. It's a great product. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that will about wrap it up for our Martinsville review show. Make sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram, and make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that'll do it for us. So for the Stock Car Spectacle, I'm Ian Jortson.
I'm Nick Kinzel.
I'm Tom Hovland.
We'll see you guys next time. Happy Halloween.